Alright, so number 26 says that we have 6 7/18 minus 8 21/54. Now this one is kind of a unique problem for a couple different reasons. We're going to go ahead though and just say for a minute that we didn't realize this was unique and we're just going to go ahead and do it. Okay? So, we're going to begin by always doing what when we add or subtract mixed numbers? Change to an improper fraction. Okay? So we're going to take 6 times 18 and then we're going to add 7. So 108 plus 7, you guys double check my math, should be 115, right? Okay, then we're going to subtract 8 times 54 is what? 432. So 453 over 54. Now, here is, and this is where I've talked with some of you guys about this. Some of you will always just do this. You're going to multiply the first fraction by 54 over 54, and the second one by 18 over 18. Holy bejesus, you're going to get huge numbers. Huge numbers. So here is something, especially if these numbers are not very common for you. Here's something I always check. Does 18 go into 54? Yeah. Yes. How do I know that? How can I check that? 54 divided by 18. And on your calculator it gives you 3. So what that means is that I can actually multiply this first fraction by 3 over 3. So now I'm going to not even change my second fraction and I'm going to get way smaller numbers. So now when I multiply these together, this is going to be 345 over 54 minus 453 over 54. Alright, again I need a little help. What's 345 minus 453? Negative 108 over 54. Now, a lot of times we spend a ton of time working on reducing. Great, you got to reduce. But if you divide the top and the bottom each by 54, you get negative 2 over 1, which is negative 2. You could divide by 9, and if you do that, you're going to get 12 over 6. But 12 over 6 just becomes 2. Now, quick question.
So we don't reduce it, but we still get it wrong?
Yep. Okay. Yep. Now, this is probably not going to be nearly as common, but at least needs to be shown so you are aware of it. Take a look at what I've highlighted in that problem. Those two have a common factor. That fraction they gave you was not reduced. Can anyone tell me what those are both divisible by? Both divisible by 3. Oh, this is an 18, right? So, what's 21 divided by 3? 7. What's 54 divided by 3? Do you see why it might benefit you to do that? Well, absolutely. You just reduce your fraction. What do you notice about these when I change them into mixed numbers now? They're already going to have a common denominator. So when I take 18 times 6 plus 7 and I get my 115, this is over 8. 8 times 18 is 4, carry the 6, 144, plus this is 151 over 8. Or 18, sorry. Now I get negative 36 over 18. That's negative 2. So, if by chance you recognize a number or fraction that is not reduced, 100% you can reduce it. So like, here's another example. If I gave you 3 and 2/6, what do you know 2/6 could be reduced to?
1/3.
You can work with either one you want. Now, you're not reducing the whole number. I mean, that can't be reduced. 3 is 3. But 2 over 6 is 1 over 3. So we're not only trying to find common denominators by multiplying numbers together, You can also find common denominators by reducing fractions when that's possible. Now, most of the time we don't have fractions, we don't give you fractions that can be reduced. But that's why 26 to me was a little unique, because I was walking around and helping people. We did this almost every time, and then the more and more I looked at it, I was like, oh, you could just divide these by 3, and you've already got a common denominator then. Okay? Again, it's one of those, do I expect you to do it this way? No. But I also can tell you this, if you don't ever see it done this way, you'll never know that it can be done that way. All right. What else do we have for questions from the homework? Quentin? Number 32. All right. Problem number 32 is a story problem. And I was really glad as I walked around yesterday, the number of people who had actually gotten this done and didn't ask for any help. They just got done and said, did I do this right? Like, you're starting to get to the point where you're not just, right away, it's a story problem, I've got a question. Okay? So on one day, it snows 2.5 inches. On the next day, it snows 2.25 inches. And on the third day, it snows 4 1/8 inches. What is the total amount of snow in your 3 days? So we're taking the mixed number of 2.5. We're then adding 2 1/4. And then after that, we're also adding 4 1/8. Now, you can either do these individually or you can do them all together. It's up to you. That's where it's kind of flexible. Most people that I saw that got to 32 yesterday chose to begin just by focusing on these two. Let's figure out how much snow we had after the first 2 days. Okay? So let's do it that way. Change to a mixed or improper fraction. This becomes 5/2. And this becomes 9/4. Okay? What's a common denominator between 2 and 4? 4. I like that because that means you don't have to change the second fraction. What are you going to do to the first one though? Times it by 2. So now what we have is we have 10/4 plus 9/4, which is a total of 19/4. In the first 2 days, there's 19/4. Okay, so almost 5 inches. Now, we still need to add our 4 1/8 to this. Again, if I'm going to come back and add this in, I'm going to have to change this now to an improper fraction as well. So 19/4 plus 33/8. Need another common denominator. 8. So what am I going to do to the first fraction? Multiply it by 2 on top and bottom. So when I do that, 19 times 2 is going to give me 38 over 2 times 2, 2 times 4, which is 8, plus 33/8. And this is going to be 71/8. Okay, do 8 and 71 have any common multiple or factors? No, that's reduced. Now, if you chose to take this fraction, and this fraction, and add them together, now you're looking at 3 numbers. And this is where it's kind of up to your comfort level. But if I'm taking 5/2 plus 9/4 plus 33/8, now you need to find a common denominator amongst all of them, which would be 8. So it's just a matter, again, of what you're comfortable with. We've usually been working with 2 numbers. So you can always do 2 numbers by adding together the first 2 and then adding in your third. Or you can deal with all 3 of them at once. You just got to be able to look at all 3 numbers and know what the least common multiple is. This one's not ugly. 2, 4, and 8 all go into 8. But if this was a 7 and 8 and 20, that's not going to be nearly as nice looking. So it's what you're comfortable with and what you're able to get done. All right. Any others on the homework assignment? Okay, number 30. Number 30, again, is an example of you've got a negative with your mixed number. Make sure that this is getting changed correctly. So for number 30. Oh, that's over there. I was like, what is that noise? Negative 1 and 5/12. And we're adding 4 and 5/14. Ignore the negative to begin with. 12 times 1 plus 5 is 17 over 12. Now bring your negative back in. Plus 14 times 4 is 56, plus 5 is 61. Now, I'll be honest, this isn't 12 and 14. These aren't the easiest to find. I'm trying to find the least common multiple here. Okay? 2 times 6 times 7. So 12 times 7 would be 84. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What do I have to multiply 12 by to get 84? 7. Okay, what do I have to multiply 14 by to get 84? 6. Negative 119 over 84 plus 366 over 84. Does that sound right, ladies and gentlemen? 330. Yeah. It's what? 366. Okay. You guys have the calculators. 60 times 6 is 360, so it's 366. Okay. Then we add these two together. If you haven't done it, make sure you're not just throwing something out. What do we got? Negative 119. 247 over 84. Now, they're not both even, so as far as that's concerned, they can't be divided by 2 or anything like that. Let's see. 9/3, they're not divisible by 3s, they're not divisible by 5s. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that's probably my final answer. Alright. Any others here? We're not moving on today, so if you still have questions, we're still going to get time to work on this, but any others on the homework here? 20? Okay, number 20, we're supposed to do a substitution. So we're supposed to find m plus n. And in this problem, m was negative 5/12. I'm going to put my negative right away with my negative or with my 5. And we're going to add 7/9. Alright, again, I'm not just going to multiply by 9 and 12. That's going to create way more work than what I need. 12 and 9 both go into I was waiting, like we were all going to say it at the same time. 12 and 9 both go into 36. We're going to multiply by 3 and 3. We're going to multiply by 4 and 4. 3 times negative 5 is negative 15 over 36. 28 over 36. Negative 15 plus 28 would be 13 over 36, and that is reduced. Alright. So today, here's what we're going to do. We have an assessment on Monday during 7th period. It is going to be over like fractions, unlike fractions, mixed numbers. Those 3 ideas. Okay, it has been over a week since our last assessment. We have done a lot of stuff in the last week. Like fractions, remember, simply tell us that they already have a common denominator. Unlike fractions, obviously, is what we're working on throughout all of the last couple of days. And then we've got to be really good at mixed numbers. All we're asking you to do on Monday is add and subtract. That's it. But this is the type of work I'm going to expect to see. It can't just be I typed it into my calculator and that's what it gave me. That's not going to earn you credit on Monday. I don't know. I haven't looked at it in about 12 months. Because last time I looked at it is when I gave it. So, alright, so today what I have is a worksheet. Okay, this one actually has a little bit of space on it. It's not just a book worksheet, it's one that I typed up and have used for the last couple of years. If you have room on this one, feel free to use it. If you don't have room on this, then grab your own paper and you need to start to work through this. So, I realize it's Friday afternoon. I'm not throwing new stuff at you, but that doesn't mean that we're just gonna kind of shut down and be done for the day. I want you to utilize this time, get questions asked and answered, and get a good start on your homework. Whatever you do not get done today is your homework for this weekend.